The story today takes place in a small, peaceful town surrounded by mountains and green fields. In this town stood an orphanage called the Refuge of Dreams. Despite its hopeful name, the place held stories of broken hearts, interrupted dreams, and children yearning for love. But in that small community, there was a woman who brought light into their lives, Selena. Selena was a teacher at a public school, and every evening, she dedicated her time to the orphanage. Her mission was simple: to bring joy to the children. Single and deeply committed to her profession, Selena found in the orphanage a purpose that filled her soul. Even though she had no children of her own, she felt as if those kids were part of her family, and her heart rejoiced whenever she could spark a smile on their faces with her stories. Sitting on the floor of the reading room, surrounded by eager faces and hopeful smiles, she told tales full of courage and happy endings. Among the children, 3 siblings particularly caught her attention: Tom, Eva, and Louise. Tom, the oldest, was 10 years old, thin, with eyes that carried a wisdom far beyond his age. He was the protector of his siblings, always watchful, though his silence betrayed a deep sadness. Eva, 8 years old, was curious and full of dreams. Her golden hair shone in the warm light of the room, and her endless questions revealed her belief that life could still offer happy endings. Louise, the youngest at 5, was a burst of energy. Her smile lit up any space, and she had a special admiration for Selena. Selena shared a particularly close bond with Louise. The little girl followed her like a shadow, always eager for her attention and affection. Louise saw Selena as a hero, someone who made the impossible seem within reach. Selena reciprocated with the same enthusiasm, holding Louise's tiny hand during tough moments, singing to her when fear crept in at night, and celebrating each of her small victories as if they were triumphs for the entire world. One evening, after Selena finished telling a story about a family overcoming storms to find their way back home, Eva asked a question that left the room in silence. "Auntie, do you think we'll ever find someone who truly loves us?" Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it seemed to echo in Selena's heart. The teacher took a deep breath, leaned closer to Eva, and smiled. "I believe so, Eva. Sometimes, life surprises us when we least expect it." Selena's response brought momentary comfort, but the question continued to linger in her mind, like a haunting melody she couldn't ignore. As she helped the children back to their rooms, the weight of that doubt seemed to grow heavier in her heart. Eva had looked at her with eyes full of both hope and pain, and it left Selena unsettled. Every simple gesture, like tucking Louise's blanket or sitting in silence with Tom, seemed laden with a silent plea. "Please find an answer for us." Tom, as always, remained quiet, but that night, as he approached the door, he stopped. Turning to face Selena with his serious gaze, he spoke softly, almost as if afraid the moment might vanish. "Thank you for telling us the stories." It was such a simple phrase, yet it carried a depth that made Selena's chest tighten. She smiled at him, holding back tears that threatened to fall. As he turned to go to bed, Selena stood there for a few moments, motionless, trying to grasp the weight of his gratitude. In that moment, she realized it wasn't just stories she was sharing. She was offering a glimpse of a future these children didn't even know they could dream of. A future filled with love, belonging, and the promise of not being alone. Walking through the orphanage's quiet halls, Selena found herself reflecting on it all. The reality these children faced was so harsh, so full of uncertainty, that imagining a different future for them felt like an act of bravery. Yet, at the same time, that scene, the hopeful smiles and attentive eyes during her stories, made her think about her own life. She wondered what it would be like to have a family to call her own, someone to share her victories, failures, and dreams. What would it be like to have someone waiting for her at the end of the day, ready to hear about her journey and help carry the weight of life? Selena allowed these thoughts to linger for a few minutes, comparing her own choices and solitude to the silent hope in the children's eyes. But soon she shook her head, pushing those thoughts away. There was still much to do before the day ended. With a sigh, she turned her attention to the small details that made all the difference in the orphanage's routine: tidying the rooms, adjusting the blankets, and ensuring every child was comfortable and ready to face another day. And as she did, A determination grew in her heart. She knew she had to be a bridge to the dreams of those children until they could cross into something greater. That same night, as Selena was about to leave the orphanage, she found Oliver, the director, standing by the door. Oliver was a reserved man, with dark hair streaked with gray. His demeanor was always serious, but there was something in his eyes that hinted at hidden pain. He commented, "You have a special way with the children. Lorenzo laughed today. That's rare." Lorenzo was Oliver's son, a shy and introspective boy who rarely interacted with others. Selena smiled and replied, "Sometimes, laughter is the first step to healing a heart." Oliver was a man who carried the weight of a great loss on his shoulders. His wife, the love of his life, had passed away unexpectedly, leaving him to raise Lorenzo alone. The boy, in turn, had found refuge in silence as a way to cope with his grief. Since then, Oliver had dedicated himself entirely to the orphanage and his son, trying to fill the void left behind. Yet he knew he didn't always meet the challenge. Even so, he did his best to ensure Lorenzo had a dignified childhood. Every day was a struggle to balance the orphanage's responsibilities with being the father Lorenzo deserved. That's why, when he saw his son starting to open up again because of Selena, he couldn't help but admire her even more. The simplicity of that exchange between them was just the beginning of something much larger. Fate, in its quiet and subtle way, was beginning to intertwine their lives, as if every detail of that encounter had already been planned. After that initial interaction, Oliver began observing Selena with a new perspective, seeing in her a quiet strength he hadn't realized he needed. And as Lorenzo began to draw while sitting beside her, something inside Oliver shifted, as if a part of him that had been dormant was coming back to life. Oliver seemed uneasy yet grateful. Over time, he started participating more in the orphanage's activities, influenced by Selena's presence. Lorenzo began to change as well. He brought drawings that revealed an impressive talent, depicting imaginary worlds and lively characters. One day, he showed Selena a drawing of a boy holding an adult's hand. "Who's this?" Selena asked. "The hero. Every hero needs someone by their side in the end," Lorenzo replied timidly. Those words struck Selena deeply. She realized that, like Lorenzo, Tom, Eva, and Louise also needed something more. As the months passed, Selena and Oliver spent more time together, sharing stories, sorrows, and dreams. Oliver began to see Selena differently, not just as the dedicated teacher who brought joy to the children, but as an incredibly generous person whose love and patience seemed boundless. He couldn't ignore how Lorenzo, once a withdrawn and solitary boy, now begged to accompany him to work each day, eager to spend more time with Selena. Selena, too, started to notice something different about Oliver. At first, he had seemed so closed off, almost unreachable. But as he opened up about his pain and fears, she began to see not just the firm director of the orphanage, but a deeply devoted man full of kindness. Each conversation, each shared glance, seemed to bring something new to the surface, as if they were uncovering hidden truths about each other. One quiet afternoon, while Selena was helping Lorenzo color one of his drawings, Oliver stopped at the door, watching them. He saw the sparkle in his son's eyes, something he hadn't seen in a long time, and felt the impact of Selena's presence in their lives. "You have a gift with children, Selena," he said, his tone carrying a note of admiration he couldn't hide. Selena smiled and replied softly, "I think we all need a little magic in our lives." The moments between them became more frequent and natural. Oliver shared his feelings of inadequacy as a father, and Selena reassured him, showing him that true love didn't require perfection, only presence. At the same time, Selena realized her visits to the orphanage were no longer just about helping the children. She found herself looking forward to these moments with Oliver. Both were being transformed by a friendship that, day by day, grew deeper and more meaningful. Lorenzo, noticing the growing friendship between the two, made an innocent comment during a playful moment. "You could be like the prince and princess from Aunt Selena's stories." What began as a child's whimsical idea planted the seed of something greater. Oliver and Selena realized they had found a unique connection, built on respect and care. On a starry night, as the children slept, Oliver and Selena met in the orphanage garden. The silence of the evening was broken by Oliver, who looked at Selena with sincerity in his eyes. "Selena, you've changed everything. Not just for the children, but for me. After losing my wife, I thought I'd never find something that could make my heart believe again. But here I am believing, because of you." Selena, moved, responded as tears welled up in her eyes. "Oliver, me too. You've brought something into my life I didn't even know was missing. Seeing the love you have for Lorenzo and these children, it makes me dream of something greater. Of a family." They drew closer, and in that moment, fate seemed to intertwine their lives for good. It was there that the love, long held back and eager to be freed, was finally declared. A few days later, during a quiet afternoon, Selena gathered her courage to share what her heart had been yearning for. Sitting at the kitchen table in the orphanage, she said, "Oliver, I've been thinking a lot. What if we did something even greater together? Adopt Tom, Eva, and Louise? They are a part of me, just like Lorenzo is a part of you. And now that we're building this family, why not make it official?" Oliver was silent for a moment, processing her words. Then he took Selena's hands, holding them firmly, and replied with a warm smile, "Selena, you don't know how much this makes me happy. I can't imagine a future without you and these children. Let's do it. Let's be the family they've always dreamed of." And so, they decided to take the next step together. When they shared the news with the children, the orphanage was filled with laughter and tears of joy. For the first time, Tom allowed himself to smile without restraint, Eva cried with happiness, and Louise ran to hug Selena and Oliver as if she'd never let go. At last, they were complete. On Lorenzo's birthday, Oliver gave an emotional speech about the meaning of family. He said that family isn't something we're born into, but something we build with love, patience, and faith. At the end of his speech, he surprised everyone by proposing to Selena. She said yes, sealing what everyone already knew: they were a family. In the years that followed, the orphanage remained a place of hope but also of new beginnings. Selena and Oliver, with their children, transformed not only their own lives but also the lives of those around them. They proved that love has the power to heal any wound, and that, even in the most unlikely places, it's possible to find a second chance. And so, under the stars of that quiet little town, a family was formed, proving that love, when shared, can transform lives forever. This story teaches us that even in the most challenging situations, hope and love can create new beginnings. Destiny surprises us in ways we don't always understand, connecting lives that are meant to heal and grow together. By opening our hearts to one another, we discover strengths we never knew existed, building bonds that transform not only our reality but also the lives of others. If you were moved by this journey, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that celebrate the beauty of love and redemption. Thank you for watching.